Gomez, he'll need to stop this one. He can't! He can't tee up the top of
Well, it's all quiet in the changing rooms at the moment, but it won't be for long. Leeds are at home at Ellen Road against Watford, looking for 3 points. There's lots to discuss. This is the warm-up. Coming up for you this week.
But the one thing that I love about Rafinha is that he never panics.
We know that in the Premier League, small details sometimes define the games.
It's been a good year since I picked up a dart, so it could be a bit rusty, but I feel like I beat some of the boys.
So welcome to this week's warm-up. If you ever want to send in a question or be in touch, hashtag the warm-up is the way to do it. Joining me today, Noel Whelan and Don Matteo as always. First and foremost, guys, I mean, you're back here in the changing room, a little bit different to maybe when you were playing. It looks a bit nicer. Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
I was going to say. But what memories does it kind of invoke, just sat here? Can you pick out where you would have been? Or
I'd probably in the corner out of the way, trying to get away from someone. But no, this side definitely. And you always find a spot, don't you? Noel will tell you, you find a little spot where you kind of feel comfy and happy. You've probably got a couple of mates around you that you maybe knew a bit better than others. But for me, when I get into this place here now, it feels like you're actually back in the team and like you're involved. It kind of stirs that emotion back up for me. It's like you want to be out here playing when I come into these areas, which we don't get the opportunity very often. But when I come back into these places, it's just emotion, I think, if anything, and just the good times we had as a Leeds United player.
Noel, are you getting emotional as well?
Yeah, look, it's always great to come to Ellen Road. Obviously, a lot's changed during my time when I was playing for Leeds. The changing rooms are a little bit further up on the left-hand side, but yeah, just the memories of coming in. You know, knowing that you're going to be playing, and you know, I used to get in about an hour before everybody else. I mean, the manager used to go absolutely crazy with me because I'm already sweating before people come in with the suits on. I was that excited, but the adrenaline's pumping. You can't wait to get out there. It's that kind of nervous energy. But the celebrations, and Don will tell you, after you've won a game and you come in there collectively as a team, there's no better feeling in the world.
Was it not walnut cladding and AstroTurf on the walls then?
No, not at all. No, I think the one thing I remember for my time, and obviously I'm sure Noel's will be quite similar, is the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And that is just electric, and also the players you're playing with, they create that as well. There was an energy about them, you know, some real characters in my Leeds team, and I'm sure it Noel's as well. And that's what it's all about, because you need them characters sometimes to give you a little lift, even before a game kicks off. Come on, you up for it, boys? And that's kind of my memories. It was all solid pros who know the game inside out, but there was always time for a bit of banter as well. Yeah, because you need that.
Yeah.
You need that.
And the thing is, where you are here as well, Rich, you can hear the fans above, and that gives you a massive stir. When you can hear them singing, you can hear them walking above on the stands, and you're getting that buzz just about before you're going out, you know, in that tunnel. There's no better feeling than that. Dom knows that. I know that.
I feel like you two are about to go out now to the pitch and just kick a ball. So can we have you just finish 15-20 minutes if that's all right before you get
that'd be great.
Too overexcited. Let's get into the football because, of course, Leeds defeated last time out here against West Ham, 2-1 in the end. Let's start with the positives. It's a defeat, but let's start with the positives. That first 45 minutes, the crowd you talked about, the atmosphere in here, the goal as well. Yeah. There were some positives to take from that game.
There certainly was. I think, again, but I know we've talked about Charlie Creswell before, but for me, as a defender, the performance of him as such a young player coming into a big game like that, I thought he was outstanding. I thought the goalkeeper was excellent. Again, what a goalkeeper he's turned out to be, what a signing. And I think obviously Rafinha was the other one. They're the three I'd pick out, but overall I think the first half performance was good, really excellent. I think, you know, West Ham were a threat, they had chances as well, but overall it was a better performance and maybe deserved a bit more out of it. And it's just at the highest level, them small margins sometimes they're the ones that take you by not by shock, but sometimes when that small margin sometimes can be the difference between a win and a lose. And I think we've just got to get better at managing the game. That's my honest opinion.
Yeah, we were over in the East Stand, weren't we? And when that first goal went in, you know, Rodrigo down the left-hand side took his time with it, didn't he? Because he had to sort of wait for the support, but did it brilliantly. pulls the ball over, Mateus gets involved, and it's another brilliant finish, third of the season for Rafinha.
It is, yeah. I mean, it is a fantastic build-up to the goal. And again, like you said, it's about that awareness of players in and around you. And we've seen that awareness beforehand with goals early this season. Lovely little layoff. But the one thing that I love about Rafinha is that he never panics. It's always side foot, it's always cultured, and he knows exactly where to put it. I mean, that is the sign of a class player. There were many positives out of the game, and it was, like Dom said, it's fine margins, and and I know that football can be a cruel game at times. Yeah. And I felt that it was, because there was some good performances. Charlie Cresswell, he was out there like a veteran, not a young boy out there. He was talking, he was organising, his positioning, his confidence on the ball. I mean, that was exceptional to watch. We've got a real good player in Charlie Cresswell, that's for sure.
And with Charlie Cresswell, the step up from under 23s to suddenly being against Mikel Antonio, who started the season as he had. That's a very different proposition for a player stepping in. We asked before, will Marcelo Bielsa show faith in someone so young and inexperienced to come in? But he had no qualms about doing that, and he repaid him.
No, I think you're right. And I think, we all know that he'll have known all about him and how he's been doing, how he's been playing for the 23s, and he'll have watched him a lot, because that's what he does. He understands the player as well as what he can actually do on the field. He knows the person before he gives him the opportunity. And I think Cresswell was one of those players that I wanted to get that opportunity, especially, for me, being a centre half, I always look for them more. I don't know what that is. Noel, obviously, maybe a striker or a midfielder, but he looks for them. I always look how defensively good they are. And I think Charlie Cresswell is a player that's going to be here for a long time.
How much is it a boost on? Do you know when a manager, because you're young, sometimes he's gone for the more experienced players to play in certain positions against certain teams, but how much confidence does it give you when you're at Liverpool that the manager trusts you to put you in for such a big game?
It's the best thing in the world, and I felt when I got my opportunity at Liverpool it wasn't going to come, but it did. And I think it's like Cresswell's been doing himself, he's putting them hard yards in on the training field day in, day out. That's when you get your rewards. And the thing for him now, can he stay in the team? Because we know this player's been out injured, suspended, so when they come back in, will he stick with him? I think he deserves to stay in the team. For me, Cresswell, I think he's a real talent, but one who's got a lot of work to do still. He's a young player. I know his dad, Richard, quite well as well, so I'm sure Richard will be on his case constantly. And, and sometimes you need that. Not too much, but I think you sometimes need someone to tell you the home truths as a player, especially a young player. I used to get that a lot, telling me things about what I'm doing wrong, and I didn't mind that. I didn't mind a bit of criticism at times.
Leeds looked really up for that game, from the off as well. Some of the pressing in the first half, Rafinha chasing down the goalie and making some impossible chases, go out for a throw-in or whatever it might have been. They really did. You talk about fine margins. How do the Leeds team, how does Marcelo Bielsa turn that round so that it's a fine margin going in the other direction? Because winning's a habit, isn't it? But is not winning a habit as well?
Well, it can be, especially in Premier League. I think, we've got 3 points on the board so far with draws. But I only think your season really starts when you've got a W next to that result. I think that's when you kind of loosen the shackles. At the minute, it's those fine details. We go back to the goals at the weekend. The ball out on the right-hand side to Bowen. Could we have reacted quicker to get out to him? I think we could have. I think we kind of stood and kind of let him drive in. I think if you get to him very quickly, you change that course of where the ball goes in and that own goal straight away. And then you can go back again to the second goal. And me and Don were talking about it before. We've seen it on TV. It's that concentration levels that we spoke about, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At crucial times in the game, and that was crucial. You have to get your distances right. I think Shackleton was fantastic on the day. I really do. I just think better communication. Get him to tuck round a little bit further so the gap isn't as big between the centre half and the right back, and that goal doesn't go in. And they're the crucial moments and the fine margins in games at the minute.
Well, it is, of course, Watford who are the visitors, and we'll preview that in full very shortly. There's been other stuff going on around Leeds United this week. Of course, good win for the under-21s in the trophy at Oldham. 3-2 win there. It was interesting hearing Mark Jackson after that, who's having a great couple of weeks. I mean, he must be absolutely delighted seeing some of those under-23 players coming through as well. He was talking about an identity for the team. And actually, when you watch the under-23s or under-21s play, you see that press. One of the goals comes from that as well. And you see that they're playing in the same way that the first team do. That helps with the step up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you've got to have that kind of philosophy, throughout the club. Not just with your first team, but I think it bears well, with your 21s, your 23s, because when you're playing the same sort of way in that same kind of philosophy from a young age, it makes you easier. Like Charlie Cresswell now, you look at him when he's come in. You look at, Gelhardt when he's had his chance to come in, in the cup game against Fulham. All these progressions, from playing the same way, make it easier to make that step into the first team. Don't get me wrong, there's still a lot to do for these young boys when they come into the first team and to prove themselves, but when you know your tactics and you know your role and you've been playing it for 2 years up until this point when you get that given that opportunity to play in the first team, you kind of know your job and you know your role, and it makes it that little bit easier just to slide back into there, when given that opportunity.
When you take a player making that step up, how hard is it? Because, for example, Somerville in the under-21 game picks up the ball on the right-hand side, drives into the box, wins the penalty, lashes it home. How much harder is it to then implement that at a higher level?
Well, listen, it's practice, repetition, doing the right things week in, week out, day out. It's just not taking your foot off the ball, staying out extra, doing a bit more shooting, doing a bit more crossing, a bit more passing, whatever your weakness may be. I used to obviously go out and try and head it because that was my weakness, believe it or not. It's like people say, you used to be decent in here. I wasn't that good actually, if I'm being brutally honest. I had to work on that. It was like a work in progress all the way through my career, trying to get up for these headers, and because you're playing up against some of the best strikers in the world, so you know you're going to be up against it. So that was something I used to implement. It was work on my heading, and at that point the manager would take me out, David O'Leary, and be working on heading constantly, just throwing that ball up for me, kicking it up for me. We'd have a couple of young lads, and it'll be the same for these young boys now. There'll be younger players than them that can work together, and all, like as you talked about, as a team, and work on your strengths and your weaknesses together. And I think sometimes that helps so much, just to have people they've got that energy and that willingness to learn and become a better player. That's what we have at Leeds at the moment. There's no two ways about it. Jacko's doing a brilliant job. Massive Leeds fan as well, I think, isn't he?
Yeah,
so that always helps me as well. People who really understand the club. He gets it, and so do the players now, and that's massive for the club for the future.
It was his birthday as well this week.
Oh, was it? Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Jacko.
To Jacko. And Leeds United women, they've had a great start to the season. They went down 1-0 against Bradford City women. It was one of those games, and you'll know what these games are like to play in, I guess. Frustrating. They had so many chances, just didn't fall for them. Laura Barton, who's been in great form, she hit the crossbar, just didn't quite fall. Defensive error in the end led to the Bradford goal, but sometimes it happens in a game, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I played in loads of games where, you've been on top of the game for 90 minutes, you've had so many chances.
A few,
See, I wasn't going to say anything, but everyone was thinking it. Everyone was thinking it.
But look, we played in games that frustrate you, and you come off the end of after 90 minutes and you think, how have we not gone and won this or taken something out of it? Probably no different to the first team at the weekend. When they look back on how open the game was. But yeah, look, it's frustrating. It sometimes ruins your weekend. I never used to have a good weekend when I lost a game. I'm sure Dom didn't either. It used to just completely kill your weekend at times.
Yeah, it's true.
But look, they've had a great start to their season. And me working in the foundation now and with a lot of the, young girls, shadow squads and, development squads, you see how big the women's game is coming on now. It's getting screened live on Sky. There's so many more girls interested, young girls and families coming to watch Leeds United as well, which gives them that impetus to want to be a football player. I think it's fantastic we're getting more girls in, and they've started the season off, really well. Just disappointing. I'm sure they'll bounce back though.
Let's take a look at the other Premier League fixtures happening this weekend ahead of that international break. Of course, I guess the big one to get your thoughts on, your prediction on, it's the top two, isn't it? Liverpool against Man City. That's the Sunday 4:30 kickoff. Yeah. Huge, isn't it? I mean, it really looks like an open Premier League title race this year, doesn't it?
It does. I think for me, there's 4 teams that could probably win it, and the 2 you mentioned are definitely 2 of the ones that can win it. So I think for me, I just think it's such a huge game. But I think this year, we might see a different Liverpool. Not the way he'll change the style or anything, but I just think I think they'll be better at grinding a couple of results out this year. Because last year we didn't grind as many results out, even though we had that, like Liverpool had that Alisson, that header and stuff like that. This year I think we'll see a Liverpool team that's trying to win games, but also defensively better. Obviously it helps when you've got big Virgil van Dijk there. he's massive for them. So I think a player like him can win a game of this magnitude. If he defends well, does his work well as a defender, the other players get around that as well, and they love playing with Virgil. I've heard people talk about it. So I think I just generally think that Liverpool will win this game, not comfortably, because Man City are obviously a top side, but I do think that Liverpool just edge this one.
Liverpool to edge it?
Look, there's no doubt that that they're going to be up there. Now they've got that fully fit squad. Virgil van Dijk that Dom just mentioned. He's their main man at the back. He's the one that sometimes gives you that confidence, knowing that he's behind you. That you can get these attacking players and all that flair going forward. Because look how many goals they've scored this season already to what they scored last season. It's amazing what some of these players can do in front of a crowd, whereas Mane, I thought, had a really poor season last year. Maybe he's one of these players that needs that crowd back and needs to have his, chest puffed out to go and do his stuff. But I look at Chelsea as well. They've got an unbelievable squad, that they bought, Lukaku.
Eddie Gray thinks so as well.
Who's that, sorry?
Eddie Gray thinks so as well.
Eddie Gray thinks so as well, does he? Well,
Eddie,
are you going to mention it? I thought you mentioned it.
We're on the same page.
All right, let's just say it publicly. Dom, you got the prediction right last week. Eddie Gray got it wrong.
Well, I don't like to give Eddie any stick, because Eddie's a pure legend.
He gave you grief though, didn't he?
He did give me grief.
But
So
I think at Anfield, which is another great place to go and play your football, I think with the fans there as well, and Liverpool winning midweek and Man City losing, I think they've got the confidence there. So I'll go with Liverpool and Dom.
We'll see how it pans out on the Sunday 4:30 kickoff. Okay, still to come. Luke Ayling takes on the Nine Darts Challenge. We'll be catching up with Rodrigo ahead of the Watford game and previewing it in full. But first, if you are getting your fantasy football team together, the deadline is looming. So if you're looking for a few suggestions on some positive picks, here's Luke.
So it's game week 7 coming up this weekend, and here are my top 5 picks for your fantasy football team. Number 1, Bruno Fernandes. Bruno hasn't been in great form recently, but his attacking potential is certainly there. His 23 shots is the 4th most in the Premier League this season. Will he reclaim his form against Everton? I think he might. Number 2, Marcus Alonso. A win is expected for the Blues, and Marcus Alonso is their top points earner, so definitely get him in your team. Number 3, we're going for another Chelsea player in Romelu Lukaku. Known for his goal-scoring abilities, is someone that you want in your fantasy team, and I'm tipping him to score a goal or 2 against Southampton this weekend. Number 4, Chris Wood. Burnley versus Norwich, bottom versus second bottom. It's a key game to watch if you're interested in the relegation battle. And Chris Wood scored twice in a 2-0 home victory against Norwich last time around. And considering that Norwich have already conceded 16 goals this season, Chris Wood will be keen to get on the score sheet. And finally, number 5, Matthew's Click. He's managed a goal and an assist from the 2 home games he's played this season, and against a Watford side that has struggled defensively so far, can Click claim some more points? I'm putting him in my team.
Today we're joined by James, a Watford fan and also a podcaster for the Watford Way. James, thanks a lot for coming on, mate.
No worries, mate. Really looking forward to the game, and just excited to discuss the game, and let's get straight into it.
Who's your most dangerous player that we've got to watch out for this weekend?
Ismaila Sarr's the guy, and if you mark him out the game, you'll be much more likely to get a positive result from a Leeds perspective, because I think Newcastle did that quite well. Especially in the first half, they marked him out the game, and Watford really struggled to create anything. So, Ismaila Sarr's the man you've really got to watch out for.
And who do you think our danger men are that the Watford players have got to watch out for?
I think Calvin Phillips is really, really good, and it's not a surprise that he's obviously made it into the England squad. I think he's a superb player. But for me, I think it's probably Rafinha. I think Ben Foster will be quite concerned to be facing him on Saturday, because I'm very, very worried to be facing him.
James, can I get a score prediction and how you think the game is going to go?
Oh, this is going to be a tough one. I mean, I'm hoping it'll be a high-scoring game, just because Watford do like to press at times. You guys, obviously, that's your style: high press, high intensity. If I'm thinking with my logical head on, we're probably going to lose the game, and it'd be such a Watford thing to do to give you guys your first win of the season. But I'm going to be positive. Watford yet to keep a clean sheet, by the way, so that's a positive for you guys. But I'm going to go with a 2-1 Watford win. I think Sarr and Josh King will score, and Rafinha will score for you guys.
Well, joining us now on the warm-up is Rodrigo. First and foremost, thanks so much for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thanks.
And how is the mood in the Leeds camp at the moment? Obviously, not got that first win yet, and we'll come on to the Watford game in just a moment. But how's the squad feeling? How's it like in training at the moment?
I think people is, as you say, it wasn't a good start for us. We knew that this season would be harder than the last one. But I think that everyone here keep with the same mentality to work hard, to look for the next game. We know that we have a long season in front of us, and football is not how it starts. The important thing is how we will finish it. So people is just want to work hard and keep moving forward.
You've played many different positions this season, and obviously with Patrick Bamford being out, you've been moved from that number 10 position to the number 9. How are you finding that move?
Yeah, of course. There are different positions, but it's nothing new for me. I play in different positions during my career. I think Marcelo, he likes players that can play in different positions. We can see many players in the squad are playing different positions. Sometimes Ailey playing as a centre back, Chewy plays everywhere. I can play in different positions also. Calvin sometimes plays as a centre back also. So we have a short squad, and we have a versatile players. So I think this is good, and we are here to try to help the team.
Rodrigo, Don Matteo here. Just a quick question. Are the players and yourself feeling any pressure at the moment, obviously, to get that first win under your belt? And how is the mood in the camp at the moment?
No, I think pressure is part of our day as a football player, as a professional football player, especially when you play in a team like Leeds, in a big team like Leeds. We have to deal with it with calm and with naturalness, and that's it. I think we just want to work hard. I think we are really close for this first win. We did in my opinion, we did a great game against Newcastle. We did a great game against West Ham also, but we know that in the Premier League, small details sometimes define the games. And at this moment, we are not with this small part of luck to achieve the wins, but we are in a good way. We are working for it, and we want to win the next one.
And just finally, obviously, second season with us here at Leeds United. Last season, no fans really able to watch you do your stuff, but back with fans in Ellen Road last week, absolutely buzzing. What's it been like to play in front of that Leeds crowd?
It's amazing. I think fans, football without fans, unfortunately we have to live with it during a big period. But they are an essential part of this sport, of this game. We needed their support as they did the last games. And of course, it's an amazing feeling to play with them in Ellen Road, and I'm sure that we can give them a win in the next game.
It is, of course, hashtag the warm-up if you want to be a part of this week's show. Of course, Rodrigo there. I mean, talking about Marcelo Bielsa and playing under him, you are going to have to be adaptable. We've seen that with players in all sorts of positions. There is positive injury news this week insofar as Rafinha is going to be fit. Llorente is back as well. Struijk finished his suspension now, so he's available. Good options to have, whereas last week we were going into that game thinking, wow, what's that back four going to look like? How's it going to be? Charlie Cresswell, you mentioned him earlier. Where does that leave him for this week potentially?
I think it's a much better position for us, isn't it, as a club? More options is great, isn't it? And obviously Charlie Cresswell doing so well for the team as well. I think for me, it's like he's got choices now. He's got to make his choice. I think Llorente is a definite starter. I think the way he's handles the ball, he keeps the ball well. and keep things ticking over as well from a defensive point of view as well. I think he reads the game the best out of all the players. So for me, he's a definite. If he is fit like we think he is, he plays for me. And obviously, hopefully, Creswell, if he was not to play, he'd be very unlucky. He'd be gutted, absolutely gutted. But we'll have to see what it's up to the manager, isn't it, to make his decisions, and that's what you get paid the big bucks for.
Yeah, looking at Watford, they'll probably be relatively pleased. 7 points from 6 games, couple of wins under their belt coming here. They'll be confident. A 1-1 draw last time out against Newcastle, and Newcastle had plenty of chances in that game as well. What have you made of them so far? Newly promoted teams, you're never quite sure what you're going to get at the start of a season.
No, you don't. I mean, look, the good thing about what Watford will be coming into the game at Ellen Road with is that they've got 2 wins under the belt, and that does loosen the shackles a little bit. They will look at the Leeds United score the other day. They'll have gone back and looked at those fine margins which got the 2 goals for West Ham, and they'll feel that they can come here and maybe spoil the party. But like Dom said, I think it's crucial that we get Llorente back. It would be highly disappointing, I think, for Charlie Cresswell, but he can hold his head high. I think we need that little bit more experience when it comes to these sort of games, especially going into an international break as well. And also you got Struijk back as well, so that there is competition for places in that centre half area coming up against Watford. But every team in the Premier League now has got a match winner, and I don't think you look any further than Sarr, I think, for Watford, and we spoke about him before the game, that he's their one to look out for and mark closely.
Yeah, it's a bit like Antonio coming here last week. We knew there was a player in form there. 5 goals for him now. Sarr's already on 4.
Yeah, it's a great start for him. He's obviously a real talent. I think as well, King as well, alongside him. He plays through the middle, doesn't he? And you've obviously got Sarr just floats about and causes problems for a lot of teams. So I think, again, defensively, I know I always go back to the defence, being an ex-defender, but it's true, we have to defend better against this type of player. We've struggled against that pace and power, and I don't like saying that, but even myself, we've all been there as a defender against pace and power and that speed and that athletic ability. You do struggle at times, but we've got to get better at that. And this is a great opportunity and a positive opportunity to maybe pick his best team. We've got more players available. Obviously, Paddy's not available, but apart from that, we've got a pretty strong side we can pick from. And I generally think this is a real opportunity for us to push forward and get them 3 points that we so richly need.
And what will the message be to the team going out? You both will have played where you go through a run, you just can't seem to get that win. We know we've played good football in patches, we've looked excellent, in that West Ham game as well. What will be that main message going out ahead of the Watford game?
I think just keep your composure, believe in everything that the manager's telling you to do. Obviously there's fine details defensively that we need to, shore up a little bit, and we need to be a lot more ruthless in front of the goal when we get these opportunities, that's for sure. We've had some great chances over the last 2-3 games where we could have, seen off Newcastle, and got that first win underneath our belt. But I think the longer the season goes and you don't get those 3 points, the bigger the pressure starts building. I know I was like at teams, I played at Coventry and sometimes it took a long time to get a win, and you do sometimes feel that pressure, from inside and outside. But it's a great opportunity here. What they do is they can press teams so high. That is where you've got to, that's where you're going to get your joy again. We saw it from Rafinha against West Ham, but you've got to go as one. We know we can go and win teams, beat teams in the Premier League, and I can't see us not getting a win against Watford, and I'm going out there straight away for a 3-0.
You just slowed your words down as you said that. You were like pressing it out. Yeah, I'm going to say I'm going to go with it. 3-0.
Do you know what, I feel it because I think, when I look at the midfield, Moussa Sissoko, I think we've got more energy in that midfield. I know they've got some experience there. Cathcart at the back, I do feel that we miss, Patrick Bamford. I think there's nobody that can lead the line like him, but everyone's getting opportunities. Rafinha's put his away, Rodrigo, he's due a goal, so I'm going to go out on a limb here and get him down for the first goal of the season.
When that third goal goes in, we'll all be thinking of you, Noel. This weekend, that's the plan. One thing that's well and truly underway at the moment is the 9 darts challenge here on the warm-up. Calvin Phillips in phenomenal darts form last week. Let's see how Luke Ayling gets on.
Welcome back to another 9 dart challenge. This week we're joined by Super Luke Ayling. Luke, how are you, mate?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good. How are you feeling about the 9 dart challenge? Are you any good at darts? Are you confident?
I haven't played in a while. It's been a good year since I picked up a dart, so it could be a bit rusty, but I feel like I beat some of the boys.
Do the best you can.
Yeah.
Luke, do you want to make your way up to the hockey and we'll get going?
Billy boy.
18, good start. 20. And another 20. Take that.
Yeah, it's a good start.
58.
Yeah, bit of a treble.
58 start, good start. Next 3 darts, Luke. 3. Triple 20.
Oh, good
Another
bunching.
20.
Good bunching, Billy boy.
141.
Good bunching.
Last 3. Take your top of the leaderboard. I think you need about 33. 20. 5. And another 20.
Not bad.
176, I think that takes your top by about 3.
Yeah.
3 or 4, get in.
Wasn't bad. Good bunching. Bit
Still
of wind. Yeah,
Still
bit of wind outside.
You can't
you
play
know,
darts outside,
no.
can you? Asking
No,
a lot of
but-
you.
Yeah, happy. Very happy.
So there you go. Thanks for joining us this week on The Warm-Up. Leeds United against Watford. Huge game here at Ellen Road. You can follow all the action, of course, on LUTV. Bryn Law and Tony Rodrigo, your commentary team. Speaking of the 9 Darts Challenge, we want to whip you off now to have a go at it yourself. Any good at darts, Noel?
No, but I'm always up for a laugh.
I'll be honest, I'm staying well out of the way. If you're throwing darts, I'm hiding.
Whilst we fill out a health and safety form, we'll see you next week here on The Warm-Up.